Instead of talking about the real problem, instead of talking about the culture of glorifying weaponry we have in the United States, instead of doing that, we instead have to pull it back to everything. It's got to be the video games. It's got to be the violent movies. It's got to be the gay people. It's got to be the trans people. In seriousness, guys, we got to talk about something not so great. We have to go back to the mass shooting again, because this conversation is going to be a little different as usual, because it is that kind of conversation. I do not want to have fan art in this one, if that's okay with everybody, because it's just not a good time to do that. So, the shooting that happened in Texas recently, which could mean really anything at this point, anything at all, it doesn't matter anymore, because there's so many of them. There have been 3 shootings since that one, but I'm probably a liar. There's probably been 5 at this point. Who knows? But the Uvalde shooting, at least I think I'm saying that correctly. We need to talk about that for a very specific reason. Something happened around that shooting that I did not talk about before, and I should have. There is an individual named Sam who had started posting photos on the internet to build confidence after she transitioned. However, those photos were used against her as trolls falsely claimed that she was the Uvalde, Texas shooter. We're going to go ahead and read that story, and we're going to look at some of the instances of how that happened. Trans woman's photo used to spread a baseless online theory about Texas shooter. The theory, which began on the forum website 4chan, was spread by right-wing Facebook pages and even Republican Rep. Paul Gosar of Arizona. Oh, there's one more person it was spread by. But she was actually somewhat smart about how she did that. Candace Owens.
What drives an 18-year-old to murder innocent children? I don't know, but judging by the photos of him cross-dressing, we can assume there were plenty of signs that he was mentally disturbed and abused by adults in his life. Societal cowardice ignored those plenty of signs.
Yes, societal cowardice. The real societal cowardice in America is that we don't get rid of the fucking guns. As somebody who is for gun ownership, we've definitely proven we are not fucking responsible with these things. And don't do this, speak for yourself, I am responsible. We, as a country, stop thinking of this as a rabid individual, you absolute horse-nosed dumb shit. Stop that. Your rabid individualism does not magically bring kids back to life. When people posted and started criticizing Candace for posting about that, when everybody knew the photo that was being talked about, everybody knew the photos were about Sam, she then goes, I never once shared any fake photo of the shooter. That is entirely made-up storyline. Instead, people keep sharing a fake photo and insisting it's the one I'm referencing in an effort to restrict my discussion about mental illness and the dangerous rise of gender ideology. Candace, I understand that you've got 2 brain cells that are working overtime, trying to make some kind of friction resemble a synapse firing. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. But I need you to take one of those brain cells, not the one that's currently working on having you breathe. Leave that one be. The other one, I need you to use it to listen. And what I need you to hear is that FBI statistics for the last 20 years have shown that there's only about a 5 to 3% involvement in mental illness in mass shootings. Most mass shootings in the United States are carried out by what we would consider to be mentally stable people with no history. That is FBI statistics. And I know how much you guys like touting those for certain talking points. It's not a mental illness problem. It's not. Because we don't have a rate of mental illness that is much better or worse than most other countries. If you look at aggregate numbers, sure, our general happiness is lower because of things like inability to access healthcare. But when it comes to actual mental illness, 3 to 5%. That is the numbers that the FBI has determined go into mass shootings. That leaves 95% of these unaccounted for. What this is deflection. Instead of talking about the actual issue, because you know if you talk about the issue, you'll lose all of your viewers on PragerU. Instead of talking about the issue, which is the ease of access to guns and ammunition in the United States, you instead want to talk about mental health. If you want to talk about mental health, that's fine, but remember that the accepted way to help somebody who is trans is to let them transition. That's what you do. Ignoring the fact that I've stepped in to your court on accident. What we should be talking about instead is the fact that you, Candace, spread a lie on the internet. Now, I understand that that lie did not have the photos of Sam, but that lie on the internet, everybody knows. You're skilled enough in this area of debate, in this area of conversation, to know how to tread that water in a way that does not cause you to be legally responsible. I understand that you understand that, but also understand that because I and most other sane people understand that you know how to navigate this territory, that we can see right through this bullshit. Then she goes on to say, and Twitter's now backing up this lie as usual because they house so many mentally deranged individuals who perpetuate dangerous gender theories. Dangerous gender theories. What's dangerous about saying that, hey, you could pick your gender? If you don't feel right operating as a certain gender, you can just do something else. What's dangerous about that? There's literally zero inherent danger to that. Oh no, you're unraveling the fabric of society! What the fuck does that even mean? That means nothing. It's a meaningless statement. They're destroying the family. They're destroying society. They're destroying blah, 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 blah. These are all vacuous statements that mean absolutely nothing. And these are the things that people like Candace Owens has to fall back on in order to engage in very, very flagrant and rabid transphobia. But let's go back to the story at hand, because this isn't just about the abusers. This is also about the victims. Sam, a transgender woman who lives in Georgia, said that on Tuesday evening, Redditors started commenting on a photo of her that she had shared on the platform a few months ago. They told her the photo was being shared on 4chan, a forum website with no moderation, and people were saying that it showed the shooter who killed the 19 children and 2 adults. This is like when people repost the Sam Hyde picture over and over and over again. Showed her as the person who shot the people in Uvalde, Texas on Tuesday. The shooter, identified as 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, was killed on the scene by police. Sam, 20, who has to go by her first name to protect her privacy and safety, told NBC News that the photo and others were taken from her personal Instagram page and that she's faced harassment and threats as the image has spread. She said, this is the first time I was harassed, but this is not the first time I was harassed, but it is the first time I've been accused of murder, she said. The false claims shortly after the news of the shooting first broke. A photo of Sam was posted to 4chan on Tuesday afternoon in a post that began with, "Here's the shooter's Reddit," before linking to her Reddit account and posting a transphobic slur. While some users said they did not believe the photo was of the shooter, other users posted new threads soon afterwards using pictures with fewer details of Sam's face from her profile. Sam said she's feeling annoyed more than anything. Said, "I'm more worried about the families of the victims of the attack." Social media users and trolls on 4chan, Twitter, and Facebook are using Sam's photos and images of at least 2 other transgender women to spread the baseless theory that the shooter was transgender. In some cases, they have created collages that place the woman's photos alongside images of an Instagram page believed to have belonged to the shooter. The claims were spread by some prominent conservatives on Tuesday. Representative Paul Gosar, an Arizona Republican, who should be in jail now for this, said of the shooter in a since-deleted tweet, "It's a transsexual leftist illegal alien named Salvatore Ramos." Gosar has not returned a request for comment. Man, I'm actually kind of curious. Let's very quickly head over to twitter.com, where Eggman's nudes were leaked. And let's look up Paul Gosar. I'm actually curious. Right-wing provocateur has made videos with Carrie Lake and Paul Gosar. Warned Target he will hunt LGBT supporters in their stores across Phoenix City. They're not safe and they can't. What?
So guys, this June, me and my boy Kyle, we're gonna be exposing Target. So Target, you might as well perma-ban me forever across all your stores in the United States, because if you don't, we're gonna be coming to every single one. And we're going to be exposing every single Pride, Pride shrine, satanic Pride shrines for children. We're going to be exposing every single one. We're going to be pressing all the managers at every single Target. We're going to find and expose all the LGBT supporters, all the employees that support it. We're going to be exposing them. We're going to make massive scenes in every single Target across Phoenix, Arizona. And we're not going to let corporate poison the children. So Target just...
Dude, the only person who's been poisoned is you because you believe that that mustache doesn't make you look like you sit around at parks. So that mustache is the most offensive part of this video? Yeah.
We're giving you a heads up that, you know, we're going to be coming after you hard. You know, I've already exposed you guys pretty good.
Look, just with that mustache, you look like somebody who tells somebody that you need to put lotion on your skin, okay?
But, you know, this is going to be next level stuff, so... You know.
Christ wins. LGBT loses.
Yeah. You know, I also like to hunt LGBT supporters on my free time. That's one of my favorite pastimes, you know. We're also, we're going to be going on hunting expeditions pretty soon. You know, hunting the LGBT supporters across Arizona and Phoenix. So, you know, keep an eye out for that because, you know, you're not safe if you...
This is the kind of rhetoric that people like Candace Owens end up emboldening. When you do this thing where you constantly try to call trans people pedophiles, you create an environment where people are emboldened to do this. Where people are emboldened to say that they actively hunt down minority groups in the United States.
You support the LGBT agenda, you're not safe. You're not safe. Right, Kyle?
Yep.
You're not safe.
Not.
They're not safe.
Ethan finds you. Ethan finds everyone.
Yep. Can't hide from me.
Ethan, real talk. I am an LGBTQ supporter. I live in Georgia. Please, come find me. Please do. I implore you. It will likely be the last stop that you have on this trip, but by all means, try to hunt down people. See how well that works for you. Oh my fucking God. And yet this is slowly becoming more normal here. It shouldn't be. And it's becoming more normal in the sense that shit like this happens. Trans woman photos used to spread baseless online theory about Texas shooter, leading to Texas trans girl assaulted over GOP lies about Uvalde shooting. Why was this teen girl assaulted by a grown man she'd never met and then harassed by 4 strangers who could tell she was trans? Is it because people spread misinformation on the internet? Now I understand the quick and dirty response to something like that is going to be that actually, don't you know? That's a different person. That's Sam lives in Georgia, different person. But the article we read already said that there were 3 people, at least, who this was used to. This was used to implicate. Let's continue on with the actual article itself. One of Sam's photos was shared by the Young Conservatives of Southern Indiana Facebook page, which has more than 4,000 followers. Alex Jones, the conspiracy theorist who was successfully sued for defamation for falsely claiming the Sandy Hook elementary school shooting was a hoax, also echoed this misinformation that the Uvalde shooter suspect was trans. Representatives for Jones's website did not immediately respond for comment. Conservative personality Candace Owens joined in on Wednesday, referencing cross-dressing photos she said she'd seen of the suspect. Owens has previously shared misinformation in her feeds and unsuccessfully sued Facebook in 2021 after the company added a fact-checking warning to one of her posts. The photos that social media users are claiming show the shooter are actually of 3 different transgender women wearing skirts, including Sam. In an effort to debunk the theory, Sam shared a photo of herself standing in front of the transgender pride flag on Reddit Tuesday and said, "It's not me, I don't even live in Texas." In response to a comment on the post, she said she just wants to live without being attacked when I leave my house. She also shared another photo of herself holding a piece of paper with the date on it. She encouraged people to be careful about what they see online. So transphobic people exist, and people are quick to blame someone for terrible things instead of looking for the truth about what actually happened. Despite the fact that the posts, including Sam's photos, violate Twitter and Facebook's misinformation policies, the platforms have done little to combat the emerging narrative. And again, this is something that notable figures like Candace Owens are actually pushing. But they're doing so in such a way that they can't really be held accountable. Despite there not being any pictures that I can find of this actual shooter cross-dressing, he just goes, no, let me just spread misinformation on the internet. There will never be any negative effects to that. There will never be any negative effects where that's concerned at all. Not to Candace. You see, to Candace, this is Tuesday. The people like Paul Gozar, this is Tuesday. This is something that happened and then will go away. But let's go ahead and look at the assault information. Let's go and see what happens there, because to Candace, this is Tuesday. To people like this is going to be one of the most impactful days in their lives. But it said, oh, look, it has a dick, snarled one of the four men last night outside the El Paso library where Tracy had just finished her high school homework before heading to the halfway house where she lives because her parents kicked her out for being trans. In a phone interview today, Tracy told me the man had grabbed her arm and forced her body around to make her look at him and said, yeah, you know they're perverting kids instead of killing them. She had no idea what he meant, but she was scared, like she says she usually is on the streets of El Paso these days. She said she's only 17, she told the man. Another man said, yeah, you know it was one of your sisters who killed those kids. You're a mental health freak. Remember, this is the fault of people like Candace. While Candace is not responsible for the shooting, this is something you can most certainly place on the feet of someone like Candace Owens. So she twisted and rushed off on her bicycle, stopping to phone the El Paso police, who refused to take an assault report. Hours later, during a phone session with the Rainbow Youth Project counselor, Tracy heard about false rumors flying around on the internet that the horrific mass shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, had been committed by a, quote, transsexual leftist illegal alien. Hey, no, we've actually got the picture from Paul Gozar. We've got the tweet. We know already, fool. It's a transsexual leftist illegal alien named Salvatore Ramos. It's apparently your kind of trash. That's read straight from the book. So the rumor was amplified in a big way by Paul Gozar, a dentist and Arizona Republican Congress member who styles himself a doctor on Twitter. Nobody is quite sure where that false information got started, but it spread quickly based on photos of a person unrelated to the attack. Gozar amplifying the scapegoating rumor is not unusual, according to Brody Levesque writing about the Uvalde shooting. Gozar is an anti-immigration, anti-vaxxer, radical, hardline right-winger who routinely cozies up to white nationalists. He's typical of the Trump-supporting hard-right faction that now dominates the GOP. And we don't need to talk about the shooting itself because we already did that in an earlier episode, unfortunately. Trans people are not mentally ill. Not for the merit of being trans. And being trans does not hurt anyone. And yet, they end up having to spend a shit ton of time on the streets or otherwise being harassed merely for being trans. Parents kick them out of their houses for being trans. You're upset you lost your son, but for some reason you can't understand that you gained a daughter. It makes it to where they're not able to run to anybody for support. And then when you go outside and people attack you for being trans, which doesn't happen often, but it happens often enough to be a problem. Once is enough to be a problem. This isn't an okay thing. And yet it's people like Paul and people like Candace who perpetuate the social zeitgeist that allows this to happen. This is scapegoating, is what this is. Instead of talking about the real problem, instead of talking about the culture of glorifying weaponry we have in the United States, instead of doing that, we instead have to pull it back to everything. It's got to be the video games. It's got to be the violent movies. It's got to be the gay people. It's got to be the trans people. It's got to be that. It can never be a culture of people that breeds white nationalists. It can never be ease of access to firearms and ammunition. It can never be the obvious things. It has to be constantly, perpetually, anything else. But that's where I got to end this particular video, because spending too much more time on this is probably a little more than a lot mentally exhausting. Words, they don't come out very well. As always, everybody, let me know what you think in the comment section below, and insert end of video tagline here.